Last year I did my top 10 worker placement games to look at the ones I've liked over the years and to try and work out why I didn't have any on my shelves. Then in 2022 I played a couple of fun trick-taking games, another mechanism I like, but don't own. So let's look at the good ones and try and work out why I don't own any. I'm Rob from JestaThaRogue.com and these are my top 10 trick-taking games. The rules, I'm only including those that are in the style of a standard trick-taking game. Those where players play a card face up and each other player plays a card following suit if possible, and whoever plays the highest card of the led suit wins the trick and leads the next hand. So I'm not including games like Scout as much as I like it, and I'm not including traditional card games either like Hearts. So hit subscribe for more top 10s and how to play videos. If you don't, you'll miss a trick.
Number 10.
Having said I'm only doing standard style trick-taking games, I'm going to start with the most non-standard of them all. You don't even play your own cards. In Pikoko, you're playing the cards for the player on your left and you can't see your own cards, so far from normal. Cards are placed in holders that look like a particular bird that I can't mention because YouTube would demonetize me, so you can see all the other players' cards but not your own. Players will bet on how many tricks the player on their left will win, they'll also try and predict how many tricks they will win, and they'll also play a confidence card to try and strengthen their strongest bet. Tricks are played as normal, except you're playing a card from the rack on the player on your right. The highest card wins the trick, then that player leads the next with the player on their left playing their card. When all cards are played, for each player you score 2 points if you predicted the number of tricks that won correctly, 1 point if you're one off and 0 points otherwise. Then you add points from the confidence cards, shuffle and redeal, play 2 more rounds and the player with the most points is the winner. It is pretty with nice components and interesting gameplay. You have to be careful when pulling cards out of the holders just in case you pull too many and they all fall out. Also, it's generally better to play your guaranteed 1 point confidence cards rather than taking a risk, losing a point and having a negative 2 point swing. So overall it's fun but a bit convoluted. If you've got 3 to 5 people who are really good at trick-taking games and know their stuff, then it'll be great, but for amateurs like me, it's just hit and hope. So it's a good trick-taking game, if you've got your own crew.
Number 9.
In the crew, the quest for Planet 9, players are cooperatively playing tricks to try and complete quests. Each round is a mission, and each mission has a number of quests, and those quests need to be completed to complete the mission. No spoilers, but these tasks are about certain players winning certain cards, or numbers of tricks, or no tricks, or a whole bunch of stuff. Mission 1 starts off easy with a single task that just needs to be completed, then later on there's multiple tasks that need to be completed, maybe even in a certain order. On top of that, there's limited communication. Players have a card representing a radio and they can position a token on that card once per mission to send a message as to how that card relates to what else is in their hand. It's a radio, I don't know why they can't use it to talk, but never mind. So it's good, but it is an infinitely long game of hoping the cards fall correctly and hoping everyone's paying attention. Also, if you take the games to different groups, so you're not just playing the first few missions over and over, you need a regular group to make this game what it should be. So while it's a very good game, I played it online for an hour or so during lockdown and now I feel I don't need to buy it, but I would play it with a steady group given the chance. Ironically, I don't like this game as much because I don't have my own crew. Whatever weight you personally put on the BGG Top 200, it does give you some idea of what is and isn't popular, and at the time of writing, the only 2 trick-taking games in the Top 200 are both versions of the crew. So it is very popular. Now, are you sitting comfortably? It's story time.
Number 8.
The Bottle with the Imp Inside, a story by Robert Louis Stevenson, is said to give the owner their every desire, but if they die in possession of it, their soul will burn in hell for an eternity. So while it could allow me to live in a cheesecake factory on a golf course with my wife Avril Lavigne while I have it, I'll need to get rid of it before I die, and the only way to do that is to sell it for less than I bought it for, meaning the value of the bottle will decrease over time. So that's a short summary of the story of the imp in the bottle, which will give you context for this. In the Bottle Imp, players are playing the mostly standard trick-taking game with cards numbered 1 to 37. But the bottle starts with a value of 19, and the highest card played below the current value of the bottle will win the trick. And then the bottle becomes that value. This means that the value of the bottle will decrease over time, just like the story. But remember, you don't want to be in possession of the bottle at the end. Each card has a point value and the players score the points for all the cards they have won in the tricks they have won. But the player that ends the round with the bottle instead scores negative points for all the cards they have in the colour the suit the bottle ended in. So gain it to get your every desire, or at least win a trick, and then get rid of it before you get any negatives. So you have to play fairly tactically to try and not end up with a bottle, everyone waiting for each other to play a card under 19 so they can ditch their even lower cards and avoid winning the bottle late game. It's quite stressful, and I don't know about you, I need a drink.
Number 7.
Pot de vin in French literally translates to a pot, jar or jug of wine, and verser un pot de vin means to pour a jug of wine. This used to mean leaving a tip, but over time it morphed into thanking for a service, in other words, giving a bribe. Again, this is all info leading into the theme of the next trick-taking game. In Pot de Vin, players play a standard trick-taking game with the highest card in the lead suit winning the trick. Before each hand, a card from a deck is flipped over to show the trump suit for that hand, which the winner will also take. The bribe portion comes into play with gems, which can be played into the trick instead of a card and will go to the winner of the trick. The suits are guilds that are used for scoring, so if you get 3 or fewer guild symbols for each guild in the game, you'll get a few points, 7 or 8 and you'll get a lot of points. But if you have 4 to 6 symbols of a particular guild, you will lose points. This is why sometimes you want to bribe your way out of winning a trick. But you also score points for the gems you've collected. You also have joker cards that can use to bump up the number of cards in your guild after all the cards are played. So it's a fairly standard trick-taking game where you do have to monitor how many tricks you do or do not win depending on the current game state. It's really tricky and really annoying when you can't quite gain that 7th guild symbol, or you unfortunately have to win the 4th one. But be it spring, summer, autumn or winter, not everything can go your way.
Number 6.
When I say 4 seasons, what do you think of? Most people will think of either pizza or I don't know, maybe a calendar or whatever represents a year for you. For me, of course, I think of the shopping centre in my hometown of Mansfield. Classy people will think of Vivaldi's 4 seasons, the 42-minute long violin concerto that has a really disappointing summer and a spring and winter used in all the TV commercials. The trick-taker game for this entry is Vivaldi, which is based on the popular Italian game Briscola, but the standard 4 suits have morphed into the 4 seasons for Vivaldi. This is a game for 5 players only, and players will take turns bidding potential points until only 1 player is left. They will pick a suit, and that suit will be the trump suit for the round. The player that won the bid will then name a value of the trump suit, and whoever has that card will become their hidden friend, and only that player will know they're on the same team as the lead player. Players play tricks until all the cards have been played. Players then add up points. Cards in a season opposite the trump suit are minus points equal to their value, and every other card is plus points. If the leader and their hidden friend's total minus the number of points bid in the auction is equal to or more than the 3 players total, they win. But it's not that simple. The 3-player team have no idea who the traitor is, so they have to add negative points into a trick if it looks like a player who's not the lead player is going to get a lot, just in case. But especially early on, you don't know if this is hurting your team or not. So a trick-taking game with hidden roll makes for a fun, tense game, as you don't trust 3 of the players on the table if you didn't win the bid. It really makes you think about what's happening and pay attention to every trick. You really have to keep your samurai on every player.
Number 5.
So far we've had games with a bit of bidding, a bit of set collection and a bit of the traitor mechanism, but I haven't really pushed trick-taking into another mechanism fully yet. So let's fix that right now. In Joraku, players are marching their armies to Kyoto to protect the Emperor. And you do this via trick-taking, of course. When you play a card, you activate its ability depending on the card type and value. Some are ninja cards that let you put your samurai cubes in any region of the board. The others let you either put samurai cubes onto the board into a region depending on the card value, or you can use them value for movement points, letting you move your samurai across the board. You move them right to left, showing that progression across Japan. You can also use some of these movement points to remove your opponent's cubes, which is fun. At the end of each round, players will score for area majority in each of the 6 regions, and the player with the most points at the end of 3 rounds wins. So you're looking at a card to play to get those cubes on the board and to get them into high scoring regions. But the winner of the trick scores the region that contains their daimyo, which is worth more than a samurai cube, and those points can add up. Now I bought this game back in 2015 when I was buying far too many games, and when I did a cull, it didn't make the cut. But of all the games on the list so far, this is the one I'd pick up. So right now it's both in and out of my collection, like
Number 4.
Cat in the Box is a very standard trick-taking game, for the most part. There's no suits. Players play a card into their play area next to their little helper card. As all the cards are black, the colour you play your card next to is the colour suit that card becomes. This is marked off by playing a token of your colour onto the board on the table. So if you play a 3 and declare it green, no one can play a green 3 from now on because the green 3 has already been played. If you can't follow suit because you don't have the numbers you can play as that suit, or you just don't want to, you can play another suit, but you have to remove a token from your board as a reminder that you don't have a card of that suit in your hand. Obviously you technically do, but as you said you haven't, you now can't. Something to do with physics. Tricks are played as normal, and the red suit is always the trump suit, and when all the cards are played, you do some scoring. If all the cards get played. The deck has 5 of each number and only 4 spaces on the board, so it could lead to a point where one player can't play a card. If they can't, they create a paradox and lose a point for each trick they won. Regular point scoring at the end of the round is interesting. At the beginning of the round, you pick whether you think you'll win 1, 2 or 3 tricks, and you win 1 point per trick you've won. If your prediction was right, you also gain 1 point per token on your largest orthogonally adjacent connected area of tokens on the board. So you're playing cards to win tricks as well as not create a paradox while keeping a cheeky eye on the board to build a high scoring pattern. It's a very clever and tense game, and one that I really enjoyed. It's a game you want to showcase, not lock away in a vault.
Number 3.
So Diamonds is the most standard of standard games on this list. Look-wise anyway, as the cards are all in a standard 4 playing suits. And the game is standard too, follow suit if you can, etc. But if you can't play a card in the suit, you get to take a bonus action of the suit of the card you played. Also, the winner of the trick will take a suit action matching the suit of the card that led the trick. At the end of the round, the player who won the most cards for each suit will take a suit action for that suit. But what are the suit actions? Let me tell you. For Diamonds, the player will take a diamond from the supply and put it in their vault, which is behind the player screen. If a player doesn't win any tricks, they get to take the diamond action twice. For Hearts, players take a diamond from the supply and put it in their showroom, which is in front of their player screen. For the Spades, players will take a diamond from their showroom and put it in their vault, and for Clubs, they put a diamond from any player's showroom into their own showroom. And after 4 to 6 rounds, depending on the player count, you will score. You get 2 points for each diamond in your vault, 1 point for each diamond in your showcase, and whoever's got the most points wins. I think this is probably the most straightforward of all the games on this list so far, but I like the simplicity. It makes running yourself out of cards in a suit so you can not follow suit interesting, as well as making each suit feel unique and valuable in their own way. Okay, so far on this list we've been to France, Italy, Japan and outer space. So now let's head on over to Germany.
Number 2.
Palatine German, also known as Palatine Dutch, is a language spoken in the Upper Rhine Valley region of Germany. You don't need to know much about the language except for one word, which may or may not be pronounced Ebbes, which means something. Ebbes is another standard trick-taking game, but here you have 5 suits of 5 different colours. But obviously there's a bit of a twist. At the start of the round, the first player reveals a designation card, which will be a random number depending on the player count. The first time a card matching that number is played into a trick, the matching colour suit becomes the trump suit for that round, shown by placing a colour designation card next to the trump space on the board. The second time that number is played, each card of that suit at the end of the round is worth 1 point, shown with the plus designation card. The third time it's Ebbes itself, which as we all know now means something in Palatine German. At the end of the round, the players that don't have the most or least number of cards in that suit, but have something, will gain 3 points. The fourth time is minus, which makes each card of the suit minus 1 point, and the fifth automatically becomes the next suit, and the player with the most of those determines the start player for the next round. And the most points after 5 rounds wins, and it has the simplicity of Diamonds, the nervousness of Vivaldi, and the unknown element of Cat in the Box. And it has a classic look too, which gives the game a nice overall feel. Okay, let's get weird.
And now, number 1.
I love games by Seiji Kanai. They're small, usually simple, unique and fun. I mean, I didn't like Brave Rats, Cheaty Mages, God's Gambit, The Last Brave, Say Bye to the Villains, My Start and Lost Legacy, but Love Letter. I love Love Letter. Chronicle is his take on a trick-taking game where players play a card and follow suit if possible as usual. But that's where the regular stuff ends. For starters, tricks are called meetings. You reveal a card from the history deck that gives a win condition for the round. Maybe it's get the most blue cards, fewest red cards, have no evil cards. Yes, there's good and evil. It's a whole thing. The winner of the trick keeps all the cards face up as allies. Some cards when played into a meeting have an ability such as manipulating and discarding allies or flipping the meeting to the lowest card wins. Some even make players discard cards or end the meeting early before all players have had a chance to play a card. There are also wild cards such as the Angel, King and Fool, which all have special abilities including winning the meeting outright. When one player's run out of cards, the round ends and anyone with evil cards and their allies cannot win. Anyone who fulfills the criteria on the history card gains a fame, and when a player has 3 fame, they win. Now, why did I sell this? Not only has it been out of print for 8 years in English, but it's so bloody expensive now. So the reason why I don't own any trick-taking games. I'm an idiot. Thanks for watching. What's your favourite trick-taking game? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more top 10s and how to play videos, from just 2 videos most months, 3 videos some months, and 4 videos in April and October, because I hate myself. You can follow me at Insta, Twitch and YouTube at JestaThaRogue and find the blog at JestaThaRogue.com. I've been Rob, aka JestaThaRogue. I'll see you soon.